a momentous event in India. Ayodhya Ram Temple is being inaugurated at the end of this month. Picture this impending event as a snapshot of the nation's intricate political journey. BJP's electoral manifestos uh, constantly promised the construction of the Ram Temple. The whole movement culminated in the ruthless demolition of the Babri Mosque in 1992. Now, remember India's founding father Nehru's optimistic idea around temples of modern India. That was a quote from one of his writings and speeches. And here we are in 2024, at the start of 2024, hurtling towards the completion of the Grand Ram Temple. And it's not just a construction project, as I said earlier, it's become a symbol of colossal significance of the sort of reassertion of Hindu identity, of the win of Hindutva politics and cultural supremacist discourse. Hello and welcome to New Wave Global, and I'm back with another video. And today I want to talk about a momentous event in India whereby a huge temple, Ayodhya Ram Temple, is being inaugurated at the end of this month. And what are the implications for India's secular identity, for its minority, the largest minority Muslim community, etc. As we eagerly approach the January 22, 2024 inauguration of the Ram Temple in Ayodhya, which is situated in the UP state of India, the country finds itself at a critical juncture where history, religion, and politics are converging with palpable intensity. Picture this impending event as a snapshot of the nation's intricate political journey, weaving together the visions of leaders, past and present, the fervor of religious sentiments, and the enduring impact of divisive politics. But still, amid the grand spectacle and rising excitement, it's crucial to dig into the details of what this occasion means for India, and in particular, Indian Muslims, whose historical and cultural ties to Ayodhya have been quite a roller coaster ride thanks to the tumultuous events that have unfolded in the recent decades. Now, remember India's founding father Nehru's optimistic idea around temples of modern India. That was a quote from one of his writings and speeches. That very vision painted a picture of progress, inclusivity, scientific development, and the well being of a diverse populace. However, fast forward through the decades, and we witness a seismic shift in political dynamics marked by the unrelenting rise of a particularistic nationalism, or some also call it the Hindu nationalism, which has gripped India's political imagination, its electoral reality, and perhaps its future direction as well. In the 1980s, a time when Indian politics decided to, was undergoing this massive transformation. Events like the Shah Banu case, which was about a Muslim woman's place in its legal and judicial system, and the implementation of the Mandal Commission, which was about the equality of various castes. It set the stage for a transformative uh, sort of moment in recent Indian history. And then, of course, enter the Bharatiya Janata Party, BJP, which rules the country, the prodigy of a vast network, which is known as the RSS. It emerged as a political force, a formidable political force, advocating for the construction of Ram Temple at the site in Ayodhya where a mosque called the Babri Masjid said to have been raised during the first Mughal emperor Babur, or at least named after him, uh, during his reign in the 16th century. And it became a non negotiable agenda for communal politics. Now, of course, um, this case went to the courts, and they gave different verdicts on it. Ultimately, uh, you know in recent years, the courts also acquiesced. And but going back to the 1980s, that whole movement culminated in the ruthless demolition of the Babri Mosque in 1992. Some of us, who were here in this world, witnessed that through our TV screens and read about it. And it wasn't just a event of demolition of a small Mughal or medieval monument. It was also a shockwave that reverberated across the Indian nation. For the Muslim community, it wasn't just the desecration of a historic mosque, it also unleashed widespread communal tensions and violence, followed by a legal battle that only added to its complexity and its political place. And in the subsequent decades, after the early 90s, BJP's electoral manifestos uh, constantly promised the construction of the Ram temple. So obviously, a lot of people in India, not just Muslims but also non-Muslims, said that this is going to create a worrying surge in communal tensions. And then, of course, that did happen. It is a very, very exclusive agenda of the BJP. Now, that's the choice of Indian voters and Indian society, what path they want to follow. But given India's diversity and its historical trajectory, and this rise of majoritarianism has been debated, and many in India have warned against a sort of an unchecked rise in these sentiments where religious identity is used for political agenda. And then in recent years, the abrogation of Article 370 that pertained to the state of Jammu and Kashmir, whereby its special status was dissolved and it was virtually integrated or annexed to India and turned into a union territory instead of even having a separate state status. And then in 2019, a contentious Citizenship Amendment Act was brought in, where the Muslim migrants from neighboring countries, mostly Bangladesh and to some degree Myanmar, their immigration into India was checked, and their citizenship was, I mean, it was a block against that. And obviously, this deepened the Muslim community's fears and has, I mean, these events have pushed it to the sidelines of political discourse and national reality. And here we are in 2024, at the start of 2024, hurtling towards the completion of the Grand Ram Temple. And it's not just a construction project, as I said earlier, it's become a symbol of colossal significance of the sort of reassertion of Hindu identity, of the win of Hindutva politics and cultural supremacist discourse, and then the mobilization around this temple, both within India and among the diaspora, also are important to note, because this temple has become a site of this the imagined 1,000 years subjugation of the Hindu community by Muslim invaders. Now, part of it is true. One cannot deny that Muslims came as invaders, and part of it's not true because a lot of invaders, quote unquote, later on became Indians, like the Mughal dynasty, for example, where after the first or the second, I mean, emperor, after Akbar's Emperor Akbar the Great, his children were half Hindu, half Muslim, and so on. It became a very Indian dynasty, of course, with Muslim identity. But now we have seen that the Mughals are not being, are being gradually erased from Indian textbooks, their memory, their monuments, etc., is being very deliberately managed or erased so that they become footnotes, bad, violent footnotes in the larger history of shining India. And but of course, the Muslim community, which is the largest minority group in India, is now beleaguered. With the creation of Pakistan, that was another big event in 1947, with Pakistan becoming a state for Muslim Indian Muslims, and then Pakistan espousing the Islamo nationalist identity. It has, you know, this what is happening in India is a kind of a mirror image, though belated, of what has already happened in Pakistan. Of course, some Indian friends would disagree, but that is how I look at it. Now, the Ram temple's inauguration is going to be a bit of a tightrope because the acknowledgement of figures from the Babri Masjid demolition era and about inclusion, who would be there, who would not be there, who takes the credit, and what it will do, it will solidify the polarization, the communal polarization, adding to the anxieties of the Muslim community about their place in India and about their sort of future as well. And this gap between the original founding vision, the Nehruvian India, and the current India is actually growing, uh, growing in a very stark manner. Of course, countries go through these phases, and India is currently going through that. Its identification, both national and cultural and political, is now a heading in a new direction, and the Muslims want, for part of this integral part of a pluralistic nation, uh, are now most uh, likely to be destined to be, perhaps in the at least in the near future or in years to come, be a marginal community. And obviously, if you think of modern India, you cannot really remove Muslims from that. They have all these contributions even in the independence movement and post independence India and its nation building efforts. Figures like Maulana Abul Kalam Azad and many others stand out for their integral position in the imagining of modern India. But that is a subject which is a subject subject which is being explored and debated rather fiercely at times within India and abroad. And I think that is something that the Indian intellectuals and intelligentsia will have to sort of grapple with. How do they make sense of what is happening and what lies ahead? So I think the important issue here is that building of temples and mosques, I mean, these are symbols, and these are religious symbols important to many communities in South Asia, of course, but they should not become the basis of divisiveness. Religion in our South Asian region has divided people, has been a source of violence, continues to breed violence and otherness. And it is now for the political leaders of India, especially the regional parties and even the Indian National Congress, though it has been reduced in its influence and its power in recent years, and civil society, to engage in a dialogue and foster an environment whereby the essential principles of Indian constitution and Indian ethos of inclusivity and religious harmony, which has existed for 900 years, I mean, the partition violence aside, and maybe some sporadic events in the medieval past, is now greatly, I mean, these values are greatly challenged. And, would India go back to the vision of its founding fathers? Or is India going to find a new vision for itself? I think the inauguration of Ram Temple is going to sort of show us where things are headed. And it is definitely a landmark in my view. And obviously, I'm nobody to condemn it or approve of it. It is, of course, something that is very dear to many Indians within India and abroad, but it definitely is a marker in India's contemporary cultural and political identity. I will speak more about it in days and weeks to come. For now, thank you for watching this video. If you like it, please do share it and feel free to subscribe, and do give your comments if you don't agree with what I said or want me to correct my own understanding of contemporary India.